Welcome to Wicked Weather. I'm your host, Peter Lovasco, and it is 8 p.m. Saturday night, Wicked Weather Way. I had a great show for you tonight. However, Skype is not cooperating with me once again. So, Nick Howes, if you're listening, I apologize. I've tried to get you on the show, but for some weird reason, it's just not working for us tonight. So, with that being said, I will have a few other guests calling in tonight. I have Bob Wynot calling in at 8:30 tonight, and we are going to talk to him about weather and a few things as far as the politics go. I also have my friend Justine. She's going to be calling in about 5 minutes, so that's cool. And, well, let's see. Well, it's been a crazy week, but before we get into that, I want to thank all my sponsors out there. I want to thank Rolling Hills Asylum in Batavia, New York, and I also want to thank, oh, man, it's been a long day, Fort Williams Henry in Lake George, New York. So, yeah, absolutely. Great place to go to. Matter of fact, I had some friends that were up there. Mark and Lauren Arvilla and Lauren Sheridan were up there, and they did some visiting up there as well with they're with Paranormal Hangover, and they're part of the DTM Wicked Radio Network. Other than that, I smashed my phone yesterday on the rocks by accident, so my iPhone screen's all shattered, and I went up to Best Buy today to try to get one. You got to have that insurance for it, which I did. Yeah. We'll try that later. And we're watching the tropics down there in the Southeast Caribbean, anywhere from Florida to the Carolinas. We're going to be watching later as we go through the weekend and into early next week. However, I think the system's going to mostly stay offshore of our area. So we'll also keep an eye on that just to make sure things don't change with that pattern. So, I'm the host, and I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but I will be having callers call in. So if you have any questions for me in the chat room, throw them right at me. I'd be happy to answer anything that comes in. And that's really about it. So just stick with me here for a few seconds while we get this all set up, and see if people can hear me. And there's nobody in the chat room anyway, so that's pretty good. Okay, so we're going to have my friend, like I said, Justine. She's a weather nut, like all of us, weather enthusiasts. So Justine will be calling in about 3 seconds. So I'm waiting for her to call in, and then we'll get the show started. I just want to know how everybody else's weekend was this weekend. I'm really bummed because this was supposed to be a great show. Nick is a great astronomer in the UK. We had all these things about... oh, wait, I think we have a call here. Hold on one second. Hello? You're on the air. Hello? Nope, nobody's there.
Hi.
Hold on one second. Hello, you're on the air with Peter Lovasco, Wicked Weather. Is this Justine?
Yes, it is.
Wow, you're actually sober tonight. Well, it's good to hear. Folks, you don't know Justine. What's that?
You got lucky tonight.
you got lucky tonight. If you don't know Justin J., I'm going to pronounce her name right. Boudin, you say it. Boudin?
Bowdoin College in Maine.
Bowdoin. Okay, great. Bowdoin.
No.
So,
Bowdoin. Like
oh,
Bowdoin
Justin
College.
J. Bowdoin from Bowdoin College. Okay, I got it now. All right. Well, welcome to the show. Yeah, no, I mean, how's the weather up in Maine? I mean, you guys have some crazy weather up there, up on Lake Sebago, right?
Yeah, it's been cold this summer. You know, for boating it's been okay. You know, but I don't think it's lacked in the severe category by any chance.
No.
You know, we've had some, my last tornado warning was like years ago, and we had 2 here back to back within 24 hours in our county alone, which, having that and the ones up north, up by Wilton and Farmington, and we've had a lot of, considering it being such a very, a very cold and cool summer, so to speak, we've had a lot of the severe weather that, we normally get a little bit of it, but not anything, too major compared to like we have this past summer.
Yeah, and you guys are prone to nor'easters as we are down here, just as much as you guys are up there, correct?
Yeah, me and snow. Yeah, I could deal without the nor'easters, but Hurricane would be kind of nice. But
now, to my listeners out there that don't know, she's Justine is a plow driver. Her and her husband have a plowing business, and she's really had it with the snow as far as our storms were going last year. It really tires them out. I mean, how tiring is it to be plowing 20? What do you guys do? 24/7, sometimes 2-3 days in a row, right?
Yeah. Well, it starts out the day or two before. We look at the forecast. I get a lot of input through Western Maine. Mike Haggett. He helps me out a lot in getting my information and getting ready for systems and storms to come through. And a lot of times we'll look and see how bad they are, and we either start like hauling snow, for properties, getting ready for anything big, or hauling sand and salts and getting trucks ready. And it's usually a 12 to 24 hour, not on the go, a 24-hour total cycle, but usually takes us 12, 24 hours to get everything in check, and then we go for it. I do medical buildings. I'm in charge of some very high-profile medical buildings in Portland, and they have like a zero-tolerance policy. I have to be on site pretty much from the start of the storm to the end, and then clean up. So most of my routes, anything 12 inches or less, I'm running anywhere between 12 to 24 hours total.
Wow.
But the big blizzard a couple of years ago, I ran with maybe 3 hours worth of sleep in 3 days. But being an owner instead of the rest of our crew, which we do give time off to get them off the road, get them going, I have to be there all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. And 32 years I've been plowing in my snow in a plow truck with my dad and my mom, who started our business, and they retired, and I took it over. And 8 years, I was 8, and I started there, and then I'm 43 now, and I'm looking for a southern location with hurricanes and thunderstorms to be my norm in the winter now, instead of snow. But I have kids, and I have to wait for them to be graduated from high school, and so 5 years I may be calling you from sunny Fort Myers.
Oh, you're going to Fort Myers again, huh? So that you'll be down in hurricane country. Our goal is to be down there eventually. But just being a plow driver, it's fun, and sometimes it can be rewarding, but a lot of times it's just very tough. It takes you away from your family and your friends and activities. Snow doesn't discriminate for which day it is. It can snow on Christmas, Thanksgiving, and New Year's, Valentine's Day, any of those holidays. I don't get them off. Right.
And we have to be on call 24/7.
Yeah.
Especially 2 of the medical buildings that we do. They have an MRI center that has liquid-cooled equipment that has to be cooled at all times with water, and a lot of times if the power goes out, it will start dumping from the city water into their systems, and it starts dumping water out onto the... Sure.
Can you hold on? All right.
Sure.
Did it work? I'm sorry. My Skype's not working. My guest is trying to call in on Skype, and I just can't get Nick. Oh, like I said, Justine, he's a great astronomer, and we had so much exciting news that he wanted to share about the asteroids and things going on up in space. But eventually, I will get this Skype thing all figured out with the studio. For some reason, my computer's just not hooked up to it rightly or correctly.
Modern technology, it can be wonderful, but it can be a pain in the ass, too.
Absolutely. So tell me, when is Maine's first snowfall? When do you guys usually get snow?
Well, we used to count on our first snowfall probably in and around Thanksgiving. But, of course, we had the Halloween snowstorm, which totally threw us through a loop, a couple of years ago. And, I mean, literally it was just a mad dash to put all the, the plows on and switch over everything from fall cleanup and to get everything ready to go. But it seems like the last 3 or 4 years it's been earlier than Thanksgiving. Usually in and around the one that will stick on the ground. Basically, we can shut down doing leads and planning and doing anything we need to do to get ready for next spring. So
it's going to be a last year, do you think?
I think this year is going to be a long year again.
Yeah.
So I really do. This past summer has just been very, very cold, and I just don't see it being as forgiving as it has been in the past. I mean, last winter was just crazy. I mean, between the glue sniffing, I think we all have done.
Myself, you, and Mike, and Anthony. Yeah, right.
I think Anthony, poor Anthony and Mike, they got a lot of questions for me, and God love them all, and you, and my little sanctuary of weather friends that I keep under my wing. They've been great to deal with. I know it's frustrating sometimes, but like for me, I've got crews and shovelers and snow routes and everything else I have to do, and with their input, it's just been great. I mean, there's a couple times that I'd be sitting out there getting ready to clean up, and Mike would inbox me and tell me, well, I can see something forming in behind fronts and different other things forming, and I wouldn't clean up if I were you. I'd wait for at least another 2 or 3 hours. So we'd pull over and go to sleep, and then, because a couple of the other lots we have to do, we have to have bare pavement. With our condos, we can, if we end up cleaning it up and an inch falls or 1.5 to 2 inches fall, we can pretty much keep it in sand and salt it and just call it good. But,
right.
He and Anthony both have really saved my behind a couple times with systems, and and I thank them. I thank them a lot. And say, no, not over. Don't do it. So and money too. I mean, it saved me a lot of money because I didn't have to have a crew out there 3 or 4 hours. I could pull them off and just have them come back and do what they need to do again too. So.
Well, being a plow driver is really tough. Especially up in Maine. And you got the back roads, and they get real icy, and it gets tiring, and visibility gets really. I mean, people don't understand that plow driving, visibility is a lot worse. Even with the the bright lights on, it still kind of blocks a lot of things out. But
a lot of people just don't understand that. With especially private contractors like me and a lot of other people that are out there, they don't understand that if you work for the city or you work for a town or a municipality, a lot of times they have a chance to be able to switch drivers out. Private contractors are out there all the time, and they don't have the luxury of being able to switch out and go home and sleep for 12 hours and then go back on it again.
Absolutely.
And people are just really, some people can be really nasty, but some people can be really sweet too. You know, I've had old ladies come up to me. I've had to plow on Thanksgiving a couple times and offer their homes up for us to be able to have Thanksgiving dinner, so we wouldn't have to, you know, go to Denny's for dinner, and we had to plow on Christmas Eve. I think it's two or 3 years ago. I can't remember. The years just kind of all, just collide with each other. So I get, I can't keep them straight. But Christmas Eve, I had, several of the condo owners when we were there shoveling their walks and making them safe for them, come out and give us cookies and bottles of wine and so there can be some good points to it, but there can be some bad points to it and getting home and, a person that didn't decide to move their car in the middle of the night or, and the first thing in the morning when they leave to go to work and, after us being up 24 hours, they want us to come out and plow it off while we're finally hunkered down to sleep for a little bit. So,
right.
It's very stressful. It's very stressful. The landscape part isn't so bad. If it rains, we go home. I have my lightning tracker that I have on my phone, and if there's lightning around the area, I shut down and go home. If it's 95 degrees, hot and humid, I go back to the lake and swim. It's more forgiving than it is in the wintertime. So, but I definitely like the landscape part better.
Well, it's great that you called in tonight, Justine. And listen, all I can say is just be ready for another cold, harsh winter this winter. I hate to say it, but you're going to be busy once again. And make sure you keep an eye on us and on the tropics, as things could get pretty interesting.
Yeah, watching that. I'm not really. I don't know. I don't get as excited over it until they've actually named it, and then we start taking notice because we do a lot of tree work and luckily most of our accounts don't have a lot of large trees that we have to deal with. So it's just a little bit of leaf cleanup or whatever. For us, we do have one that we have to watch for flooding that we had to watch for the last couple systems. What was it, about a week or two ago?
Yeah.
We had that big rainstorm that came through here and did a lot of flooding, so we had to deal with some issues at that property. But all in all, hurricanes for me are like a nor'easter to you. You just kind of sit back and watch it and kind of enjoy it. For me, hurricanes are like that for me here. I can enjoy it and sit back and have a little fun instead of going, oh God, I got to plow that all up.
Yep.
So,
all right. Well, Justine, thank you so much for calling in, honey.
All righty. Have a good night. I'm going off to watch fireworks on my lake, so.
Enjoy it. Call in anytime.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. I can hear you fine. This is the Wicked, what they call her, the Wicked Paranormal Wonder Woman. Let me ask you a question, Wicked Paranormal Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Is it possible that a tornado can swallow up a ghost and then, I don't know, go into a different portal or something like that? No, I'm just kidding. Welcome, Tammy.
Welcome.
Oh, we're having such difficulty again tonight, folks, but we're having fun with it. I don't think the show's being recorded, so we don't have to worry about anything. What are you trying to tell me?
Nothing.
Oh. How's the weather up in Syracuse?
Rainy and cloudy, and it happens like that all the time.
Yeah, you guys are in like a rough area with the lakes right there. You get a lot of moisture that come off and stuff like that. But for some reason, I can't get Nick to get in once again.
I am sending you the link how Nick can do it. I figured it out.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Can you send that to Nick?
Maybe. I will try.
Actually, why don't you Skype Nick right now? You can get him on the show live with the three of us, I think.
I can't because you are the host.
No, you can get him on your Skype, I think, can't you?
No, I have to be in the host, but I'm sending you the link.
Okay.
Okay, there's the link.
I don't see it. There's nobody in the chat room tonight, so it's not a big deal.
I am sending you it.
Tonight? I hear a whole time going on.
Do you see the link?
No, you didn't send me anything. I don't see anything.
Okay, I put it in the blog. This is how you get into Skype.
Oh, you're on the blog? Okay. Oh, blog. All right, I'm looking somewhere else.
No, I sent it through your email, too.
My computer's frozen. Oh,
really?
I'm in the DTM room.
Okay, hold on.
Anyways, folks, so if anybody wants to call in, have fun with it tonight. I do have another guest coming on at 8:30. Again, I want to apologize to my friend Nick Howes in the UK. Nick, I am really truly sorry. I tried to get this to work. I know you've been trying to call in. It's just I just can't get you on live for some reason.
I know how to do it.
Okay.
I just figured it out.
Okay.
So are you excited about Lizzie Borden?
What's that?
Are you excited about Lizzie Borden?
I am excited about Lizzie Borden. I'm also excited that I'm going to have Rob Goutreau on my show on September 13th. Rob Goutreau is a meteorologist / ghost medium. He's an author. He's going to be at the Pet Expo at the Shriners in, I believe, Wilmington, Mass. on, I think it's September 20th, if I'm correct. I think it was from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I believe. So I'm looking forward to hanging out and meeting with him and having him on my show. We can talk hurricanes because he's into the hurricanes and science of hurricanes, so that will be fun.
Yeah.
Nothing's going right tonight. Everything's freezing up. Oh, man. Let's have fun with it, though, right?
Right.
Okay, so I got this thing. Okay, well, does he have to go to Blog Talk in order to Skype in?
Yes, and hit the Skype button at the top of the show.
Oh, that's all he does?
Yes, and calls you. That's how I got through.
Can you send that message to him right now on your Skype?
I'm in the Blog Talk Skype, so I can't really do it.
Let me see if I can send that to him.
Have him on my show. We can talk hurricanes and science of hurricanes, so that will be fun.
Hold on 1 second. Go to, what is it, Blog Talk Radio?
Yes, the link I sent you.
Did you send it to... Wait a minute. There's too much interference there. I gotta get rid of that. Can you do me a favor? Can you send that to Can you send that to the Wicked Room? That's so I can copy that and then send it to him through Skype.
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on.
How you feeling? You feeling better?
Still not so good.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's talk about Lizzie. Mass Ghost Hunters Paranormal Society is putting on a great event this next upcoming Friday, Labor Day weekend, on August 29th. It's going to be an unbelievably great time. We're going to have we're going to be going to Dark Side Inc. first, and then we'll be going to the Lizzie Borden house itself and do an investigation overnight, breakfast in the morning, and I am so excited. Are you excited, Tammy?
I am very excited.
I'm excited, and I'm a little creeped out. I don't know if the sheets are going to pull off me or what. I've seen that on some of the shows where they do, like, pop off, but, you know, and roll off you. I don't see that in the chat room yet. You didn't stick it in there yet.
Hold on
I
one
can't
second.
do that from my...
I got bumped off. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I got Bobby Why Not calling in about 6 minutes.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting once he calls in. Oh, we got a little delay, huh?
Huh.
We got a little delay going on. Well, let's talk more about Cristobal while she's working on that and send me that information. What is it? Invest 96L or 94L? It's one of them. It's in the Caribbean. We're going to be watching the development. It's actually a rather large system, right around peak season almost, as we're coming into it. And then I guess the computer models want to bring another big, large system off of the Cape Verde Islands, and that one itself will also form into some kind of a system. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. All right, let me see if I can get this to Nick. Poor Nick. I feel so bad. It happens. It's live radio.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yep.
Let's copy link. I'm going to send it to Nick right now.
It is live radio.
It is.
Weather like over there?
What's that?
What's the weather like over in Gloucester?
We're at about 68 degrees at 8:30. It feels a little humid, but we're going to be drying out up here in New England. And it looks like next week, folks, we go into a real warmer, hotter pattern. Summer makes a return to New England and the Northeast. So that'll be pretty interesting to see if we can actually get our first heat wave. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Okay, so I have... You can't get into chat, huh?
Nope.
Huh. So what does he do? He just clicks on the blue button and calls in?
He clicks on the little Skype button that is above the show thing.
And that's it?
Yes. And I'll take you right to take us right to the Blog Talk studio.
Okay. Let me see if we can find him.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Sent him an email. Wow, we're having a lot of technical difficulties tonight. Well, anyways, what do we talk about?
Well, you want to talk about, let's talk about your first experience. How's that while we're waiting? Your first weather experience, major weather experience. What was your first major weather experience?
Warmer, hotter pattern. Summer makes a return to New England and the Northeast. So that'll be pretty interesting to see if we can actually
It doesn't work.
What do you mean? He says?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's probably because he's over in the UK.
Probably.
Oh. Oh well. My first weather experience, I was 5, 6, 7 years old, actually. It says he's trying to launch Skype, but it won't let him.
Huh.
He's trying to launch the Windows 8 Skype. What's that?
I don't know. It must be an England thing. Right?
Yeah. Well, we'll get it fixed eventually if somebody will help. Oh, wait, I got Nick.
Right.
Hello? Hello, Nick? Nick, are you there?
What was the first major weather?
Hi, Nick, are you there? Oh, I just saw him. Hold on. I just saw you. Hello? Hello? What happened? Are you there? Oh, no.
Can you hear me?
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What's going on? This is turning out to be a nightmare. Huh?
I'm still in Skype. I don't understand why Nick can't get it.
Nick? I just saw Nick's name show up on the bottom, and I went to click him, and I told him to call in again. So try again.
Okay.
We'll get it. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for Bobby to call in. He should be calling in shortly, 8:30 supposedly. It's going to be on for a half an hour, so we'll see if he calls in. All right. Someone's calling in. Who's 360?
I don't know.
Is that you?
No.
Hold on. Hello?
Pete, it's Bob Wynot.
Bobby, welcome to the show, buddy. We've
Yes.
been having a lot of technical difficulties tonight, but I'm glad to have you.
Okay.
My guest in the UK, for some reason, couldn't get in, but
okay.
hold on, I might have everybody on at once. This could be crazy. Hey, Nick, are you there?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, my God. I can hear you now. All right.
Whoa.
So I have Nick on here. I got Bob Wine on here, and I have my producer, Tammy, on here. So I guess that's what you do, Nick. You got to call in that blue Skype button, and that's how you get on my show through Skype.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what. You want to do it again, or do you want to stay on for a few minutes?
No, this is good. This is fine. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just go to Bobby really quick. Bobby, so I got Nick. He's into astronomy in the UK. I don't know if you're into the anything astronomy, like asteroids or stars or anything like that, Bobby, are you?
It intrigues me very much so. I am into some astrology, yes.
Awesome. Great. So, Nick, tell us what's going on right now up there in space as far as the craziness, all this excitement that you're hearing. Now that I finally got you on my show.
Well, the interesting thing, I guess, at the moment for most people is this comet, Comet 67P, which is affectionately known as Cherry Jerry, Churyumov-Gerasimenko, which was found by two Russian people, one lady, one guy, in the late 1960s, and the Rosetta spacecraft, which is a European Space Agency spacecraft, recently went into orbit around it, which is really quite interesting. And on November the 11th, they're going to try and land on it with a small lander that weighs about 230 pounds, called Philae.
Wow. That sounds interesting, huh, Bob?
Sounds very interesting.
By the way, Nick is an astronomer in the UK with the Royal Astronomy Club, right? Is that right, Nick?
No, I'm a fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society, but
fellow?
I do loads of stuff with all sorts of different people. So.
Oh, great. Let me just go to Bobby really quick. Bobby, so I don't know if Nick's into politics. We got two shows going on at once here tonight because we finally got the Skype thing figured out. But, Bob, briefly, why don't you tell everybody out there what you're for to go vote for you for the primary and for the election November 4th and the primary September 9th, is it right?
Yep, September 9th is the primary, November 4th is the general election, correct.
Okay, why don't you tell the people out there what you're for, what you represent in like quick 5 minutes.
Okay, well, what I represent is small government. I represent fiscal responsibility, clear transparency, responsibility, and checks and balances on our policies that don't have any. We want to repeal this gas tax, which I think is horrible, and I also represent cutting back on the taxes and what inhibits small businesses from getting things done and all the roadblocks they have to go with. I represent getting rid of those roadblocks so the small businesses can thrive, so we can create more jobs and more people can get employed.
Right. Yeah, because there's too many. How do you feel as far as fishery scenery goes here in Gloucester? What could you do differently for our fishermen?
Well, I mean, I can't do anything all alone, obviously, but with the right people in office, right? I think I absolutely advocate for the fishing industry. We used to have a thriving fishing industry in the Cape Ann community, in Gloucester especially, and all the regulations by NOAA have inhibited all the people from fishing to the point where they can't hire anybody else. They're going out by themselves. The quotas, and NOAA's got too many restrictions here on the East Coast, and I would advocate that those restrictions be taken back, and that the fishing be allowed to fish, and that the research be done the proper way instead of the bad science that's being used now to predict the fish stocks and which fish are where and how much you can bring in, and how about some real research to get it done so that we can get the fishing industry, somewhat back to where it used to be, and people can get out there and work on the boats.
Yeah, that sounds great, man. And where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Well, people can check out my website, which is my last name, WHYNOTT, the number 4, rep.com. I have a lot of issues there. You can contact me at 978-360-7781 and give me a call. I'll answer any question and talk to anybody that needs to. I also meet at the GOP headquarters in Gloucester on Wednesday nights, on Wednesdays for Why Not, between 6 and 8, and anybody can come in there. It's an open forum. Ask any questions you need to, and I'll be there for you.
That's great, Rob. And can I ask you a quick question before I let you go? I want to have you again next week, too, as well, for about 5-10 minutes. Would that be cool?
Absolutely.
Or actually, we could do it longer if you want, because next week we could have you on for a half an hour if you want. I just got to get to Nick, my guest. I've been holding off for the last 2 shows trying to get this thing fixed out. But I love what you stand for. I'm an independent myself, so I'm definitely going Republican. You got my vote, buddy, and I'll do whatever I can to help support you in any way.
I appreciate that.
Any other events coming up where people can that you have set up quickly?
Absolutely. This week on Thursday, between 12 and 2 at the Sandy Bay gas station in Rockport, Jack Porter is hosting a meet and greet for myself, for anybody that wants to come by. Also, again, Wednesday night between 6 and 8 at the GOP headquarters on 187 Washington Street in Gloucester. I will be there from 6 to 8 for anybody that wants to come in and talk to me. And then the week before the election, the Saturday, we're planning another event. We're not exactly the location, but we should have a little barbecue going, and it should be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, Rob, Bobby, great calling in, man. It was great talking to you, buddy. I'm telling you, I hope the listeners out there are listening. You want to vote. You want changes for this city. You want changes for Essex County. You want to put Rob Why Not for state rep. You want to vote for Rob Why Not. So we got the primary on September 9th, and we have the main election on November 4th. So vote for Republican Rob Why Not. Rob, thanks again for coming on the show, buddy, and I'll talk to you. We got to get out golfing again, all right, bud?
Absolutely. Thanks, Pete, for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, man. I'll talk to you next week.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, anytime. Bye, bud. Sorry about that, Nick.
Cool.
Nick, you there?
Yeah,
okay.
man.
No, my buddy's running for state rep, so I'm trying to help him out as much as I can.
Nice.
So, listen, let's get to – everybody wants to know about these sunspots. What's going on with these sun rays? We have these solar storms. We had a big conversation about this last week, but for some reason it didn't record. What's going on as far as solar rays, solar storms, or they call ICMs? How are we looking as far as sunspots and all that go right now?
Sunspot activity, it has picked up a bit. I mean, we've gone through what's probably the lowest level of solar activity in terms of sunspot cycles for well over 100 years, I'd say. Essentially, the sun goes through an 11-year cycle, and about, within the last year or so, we should have been reaching a kind of maximum with that. We've seen an awful lot of kind of flare activity, coronal mass ejections. They've been, pretty consistent. We've had some great auroral displays, but in terms of the number of sunspots, it has been quite low up until quite recently, and then it's just kind of all started up again. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Now, can solar storms be deadly to us humans on Earth?
They can give us some problems. They're not really deadly, but thankfully, because the Earth has an iron core that basically helps generate our magnetic field, we've basically got a good level of protection, which a lot of the other planets don't have. You look at Mars, places like that, they really don't have the same level of protection, even from the atmosphere and from the magnetic field. With us, we're quite lucky, but the solar storms, if we get large coronal mass ejections, the guys on things like the International Space Station do have to kind of shelter themselves in one of the modules in the ISS to basically protect them from the radiation doses. And this was a big problem during the Apollo era when the guys were going to the moon, because then with the ISS, you're still within these kind of protective belts that the Earth has got around it, this magnetic field that basically will deflect a lot of this solar radiation and radiation coming in from space. But during the Apollo program, when they were going to the moon, they didn't have this. So Apollo 17, those guys, all sorts of kind of kooky conspiracy theories about we didn't go to the moon because of the radiation. We did. I mean, we pulled back like 300 kilograms of moon rock, and we've got laser retroreflectors on there and seismometers and all sorts of experiments basically have proved conclusively, and the fact that the Russians never said we didn't go, and boy, they would have if we hadn't. It's one of those things that we've really got to kind of be aware of. The key problem we've got in these days is with satellites. So if you've got satellites in high orbits which aren't as protected, if you get large coronal mass ejections, those things can be knocked out, literally knocked out of action. So they have to put in factors to protect for that, and that can affect things like GPS, that can affect things like communications, which we don't want. The other key issue is power generation. If you remember in Quebec in 1989, there was a major solar storm that knocked out a lot of the electricity supply in Quebec. So high latitude electrical grid systems can be affected. You can get surges which can affect the power grids. In 1859, there was a major solar storm which was detected by a British astronomer by the name of Richard Carrington. He was pretty much one of the only people to see this. And it was so severe that the kind of primitive telegraph system at the time, the wiring for that, there was all sorts of things going wrong, and that was one of the only major electrical, in inverted commas, systems that we had at the time. But that was a major one. So what we don't want is another event of that kind of strength, the kind of so-called Carrington event.
Wow. So that's very interesting. Even though I have no idea what you explained, but it sounds so like mind-boggling. It's like so intriguing. I'm like, wow, just listen to all that craziness that can happen. Tell me, what are the mysteries of space right now? A lot of people don't know what a black hole is. I saw this really cool thing put up on Twitter a couple days ago of a black hole. A lot of people getting excited over that black hole. There was something going on with that black hole. Can you explain to everybody what that was, and what a black hole is?
Okay, black holes themselves, it's quite easy. Basically, you've got a star. Now, our sun is a standard star. It's what's called a G2V main sequence star. So it's basically a kind of average normal star. It's slightly not so average because the number of planets we've got going around it, which, we confirm we've got obviously 8 at the moment. We used to have 9 with Pluto. Pluto got demoted, but we have got a nice family of planets going around us. Our star's been basically converting hydrogen into helium for about the best part of 4,000 million years or so, 4,500 million years. It formed from a collapse of all sorts of gases, basically between 4.8 to 4.5 billion years ago. They all kind of clumped together, condensed. Once it got to a certain density, you had nuclear fusion, which would take place, which basically set the star kind of in motion. What happens with most stars is that once they've burnt through their hydrogen, they then start to, I say burn, it's converted to fusion, nuclear fusion, but what they'll basically do is then go through hydrogen, through helium, and work their way up through the periodic table of elements until they get to iron. Now, with iron, the fusion process doesn't work in the same way, and basically what happens then is that the kind of battle that's going on inside the star between gravity and the nuclear forces, which are basically holding the star up, and gravity was trying to pull it down. Gravity kind of starts to win. The star will then go into collapse, and depending on the size and the initial mass of the star, it will either go into collapse and form what's called a white dwarf, which is what our star's going to do in about 4.5 billion years from now. And then around that, what you're going to get is a beautiful kind of planetary nebula. So you get this kind of expanding shell of gas. Before it does that, however, it's going to expand. It's going to start growing and growing. It's going to swallow up the planet Mercury. It's going to swallow up Venus. It may swallow up the Earth. There's all sorts of theories that say it probably won't, but it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it's going to just kind of poof away into this big gas cloud called this planetary nebula.
And where does that all go?
That's
as
just
far
it stands
as
out there.
Really?
You can see these things in the sky now. If you've got a decent-sized telescope and a camera, you can point at any number of these planetary nebulae. And the name planetary nebula because when they were first seen by early astronomers using telescopes, they looked a little bit like planets. It's a name that stuck. It's not really a good name, but it's a name that stuck. There's a very famous one called the Dumbbell Nebula, it's known as Messier 27. There was a guy called Charles Messier in the late 1700s. He was a comet hunter, and he was looking around the skies, looking for things that basically weren't comets, so he wasn't going to get confused that, he's looking at things that were comets. And one of the things he found was this object called M27, which is this beautiful kind of, it looks like an apple core, it looks like somebody's eaten an apple.
Does it come from the comet itself?
No, this is nothing to do with comets. These are the remnants of failed stars. It's the star that's kind of gone through its life.
Yeah.
These planetary nebula, this is what our sun's going to look like in about 4.5 billion years, is one of these planetary nebula. Now, with black holes, what you've got then is a star above a certain size, so 10 or so times bigger than our sun. What happens then is that these nuclear forces and this battle between gravity and these nuclear forces doesn't kind of work in the same way, and the star will explode. So you get a supernova. Now, if the star's above a certain size, what will then happen is the remnants of the star will then collapse down and it'll either form a neutron star, which is just basically a super condensed form of the central core of the star just packed with neutrons, or it can go beyond that and it can collapse down to what's called a singularity, which is basically the densest thing in the universe. Now, the problem with that is, if you think about it, gravity, you've got something the size of the Earth is holding us down with its gravity. Gravity is not a strong force. It's a very weak force. Okay? You can jump off the ground with a whole planet trying to hold you down. It'll bring you back down, and you need to, have something like an Apollo-sized rocket to get away from the Earth's gravity and go really away, not go to orbit like the ISS or the space shuttle. But so you can escape gravity, but you need a lot of kind of energy to do it, even though it's a very weak force. With a black hole, the gravity is so strong that basically not even light can escape it. So the photons of light, if you shone a laser, near to a black hole, basically the light from that would go dipping into the black hole and you'd never see it again. That'd be it. So everything gets swallowed up by a black hole. Now, what you've got around the black hole is what's called an event horizon, which is this kind of sphere around it, this radius around it, where anything that enters inside that, that's it, it's gone. In terms of its existence in the universe, it's gone forever. But what's happening is it's basically being pulled down onto the, in inverted commas, surface of this black hole, so we believe. So, and that's what a black hole is. It's one of the strangest things in the universe, and we know they exist. I mean, there was all sorts of, it was theorized a long, long time ago. But we know from observations, we can't see them, but we can see the effects of them. We can see what they're doing. We can see in the center of our galaxy, for example, the stars kind of spinning around nothing. So they're orbiting around basically something in the middle of them, and there's nothing there. Nothing that the telescopes can see, nothing the telescopes can pick up. But they know from this indirect evidence that these black holes do exist.
Wow. That's good to know. I mean, I was always scared of a black hole because I didn't know if we get swallowed up right away.
No. I mean, there's no black hole-capable stars anywhere really near us in terms of doing any danger. The only star that's relatively near us that's going to go... I mean, there's a couple, Eta Carinae in the southern hemisphere. Betelgeuse is a really famous star in the northern hemisphere in the constellation of Orion. You can see it in the shoulders of the constellation of Orion every wintertime in the northern hemisphere. That star is a good one because it's a big star and it's about to go bang. It's a huge, great big supergiant star. Now, I say about to go bang. It may have gone bang already. We don't know because it's 600 light years away from us. So if it's gone bang within the last 600 years, we won't know about it yet. No, not yet.
And it won't affect the Earth.
It won't affect the Earth. What we'll get, I mean, there was all sorts of talk about, stars nearby exploding. They're going to, irradiate us and stuff. It's not going to happen. What we will get, though, is something really spectacular for a few weeks. We're going to get another star that we can see in broad daylight for a few weeks.
Right.
So when
it's funny. You could actually see the moon the other day. Like in the sky, the sun was up. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning, Nick. Easily 8 o'clock in the morning. It was right after the supermoon, and you could see the moon was so big and round, almost a full moon. And that was at 8 o'clock. I'm like, oh no, is it the end of the world? I'm seeing the moon at 8 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, the supermoon, that was another good one. The supermoon's kind of another. It's a thing that the media has picked up on. It's not a real kind of thing. I mean, the supermoon, basically what you've got is the moon's position. The moon is in an elliptical orbit around the Earth. So basically it has times of the year when it's closer to us and further away from us. So essentially it will look about 7% bigger. And when this 7% bigger coincides with a full moon, the media call it a supermoon. And, you know, there's talk about you can see the difference if you're a trained astronomer and you've got reference points. There's certain people who said, yes, they can see the difference in size, but it's minimal. It's like 7% bigger. It's minuscule.
Yeah. I mean, it was beautiful, the last supermoon. How rare is it to have four in a row, 4 blood moons, they call them, or supermoons?
It's just down to basically the apogee and the perigee position. So basically, its apogee is its furthest point, the perigee is its closest point, and whether or not that coincides, you know, with it being a full moon or not, and that's it. And we've had a few recently. It's not that exciting. It's nice. It gets people looking at the skies. That's the great thing, from the media hype. It's like Comet Ison last year when everyone was saying Comet Ison was going to be as bright as the full moon, and it was ridiculous. It was just complete media hype. But it was nice that it got people interested in comets. It got people looking up at the sky, and that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. That is a really good thing.
Yeah. Nick, we got about 9 minutes left. What do we got out there right now for as far as asteroids, comets go? I did hear that there could be a year-ending asteroid hit or comet on the Earth in 2880, which we won't be around for anyways. But
we won't be around
can
for
one just pop up at any time?
Well, this is the thing. Okay, this is the reality. The asteroid belt, you've got hundreds of thousands of known and catalogued asteroids. I mean, some of these things are huge, right? Some of these things, if they were to hit the Earth, they would wipe out all life on our planet. Absolutely. Right, so the whole Armageddon Deep Impact thing, they're fun films, they're a bit of a joke, etc. in the case of Armageddon in particular, but the reality is that there are serious scientific projects, like the B612 project, there's NASA's, there's NEOWISE, there's all sorts of things genuinely looking for this stuff, because if one is found, you only have to look at Russia, just over a year and a half ago with Chelyabinsk, where basically something 17 meters, so about 51 feet wide, okay, that came in over Russia, exploded in the air, sent down a shower of meteorites that people went and collected and put on eBay and sold, and that's all great. But basically, that thing smashed windows, it knocked down doors, it hurt people with cut glass, etc. If that had been 3 or 4 times bigger, then that city would have had a really bad day. And This is the thing. We only need an object maybe 100 to 150 meters wide, coming in at the right angle, made out of the right materials, and you could wipe out towns, parts of cities easily.
Wow.
So there are serious studies looking for this stuff. The thing with the asteroids is we have a really good handle on most of them, but there are still an awful lot out there that we don't know about that aren't detected, and those things are playing billiards. Hundreds of thousands of them in between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. That's the asteroid belt. Those things are roaming about. Occasionally they'll bump into each other. Occasionally one will come our way. We've got about 5,000 what they call potentially hazardous asteroids, which do cross the Earth's orbit or come close to the Earth's orbit. And by close, this can be a few lunar distances. That's what they call close. It's within a few million kilometers of the Earth.
Right. Now, with that being said,
I was going to say that's even scarier with comets. Comets are 10 times scarier, right? Because comets, we don't know what's coming next, right? We've got hundreds of known comets, but new comets are being found literally. We've been involved in finding a new comet today. Right, this thing isn't even classified by the IAU yet, but our team have been involved in the detection of a new comet today. Right, these things are found all the time. Now, the problem with comets is you typically find them. They come in very elliptical orbits. They come in from places, one of 2 different places. One's called the Oort cloud. The Oort cloud is out at about 1 light year from the Earth. So you're looking at something, it took Comet Ison over 1 million years to come in from the Oort cloud, right? So 1 light year away, traveling even at that speed.
So we wouldn't see it.
We don't see them until they reach kind of Jupiter distance. So about 500 million kilometers, kind of, 5 astronomical units away. So a good distance, 500 million miles away. Okay. That's when we start to see them, because that's when they switch on. Because the comets, up until that point, the nucleus of a comet is about 25% the reflectivity of coal, right? So they're really dark, really, really dark. When they switch on, when they cross what's called the ice line, or they basically the sun starts warming them up, and they start emitting the gas and the dust, etc., and we start to see them. It's Jupiter kind of distance. When we found Comet Ison, Comet ISON was about 1 year away from its closest approach to the Sun, which is the perihelion point. Now, if there was a comet that was coming our direction that was basically going to intersect the Earth, that's the kind of time frame we've got. We've got 1 year.
Wow.
Now, if you think about it, since 1972, we've not even been out of low Earth orbit. You know, the last person to do any real deep space exploration was Gene Cernan in 1972, last man on the moon. Right? So in 1 year, we'd have to design, conceive, fund, build, launch, and deflect a comet. Now, these things can be 30 miles across. They can be traveling up to 25,000 to 100,000 miles an hour, and they're as hard as steel.
Wow.
So that's the thing we have to really start looking at. What are we going to do about?
Is NASA trying to find a way now to figure out? I mean, because this is like a piece of ice, right? A solid. Is that what a comet is too? Is it part of a piece of ice?
Ice and rubble and organics and all sorts. So yeah, it's like a dirty snowball. It's the best.
Wow.
Astronomer called Fred Whipple basically coined the phrase of a dirty snowball, and that's what it is. But they are frozen to minus 200 plus degrees below zero. So they're as hard as ice. You only have to look at the pictures coming back from the European Space Agency, the Rosetta spacecraft. These things are big.
Well, you'll let me know ahead of time on Twitter, and you'll send me a warning if one's heading our way, right?
Yeah, we will.
Where do I go if one's coming? There's no way to go. I mean, no, in all seriousness, why have we been so lucky, let's say? We you know, this, like you said, there's thousands, millions, they're everywhere out there, asteroids, comets. Why has Earth been so lucky as far as...
We've been quite lucky because one of the reasons is Jupiter. Jupiter's a really great vacuum cleaner for the whole solar system. Jupiter, when comets start coming in from these distant orbits, Jupiter's gravity is a really good thing. I mean, you remember in 1994 there was a really famous comet called Shoemaker-Levy 9, which basically broke up and hit Jupiter. And 21 pieces of that slammed into the atmosphere of Jupiter. You look at the scars, the impact scars that thing left on the gas surface of Jupiter. Those things were the size of the Earth, the impact scars.
Wow.
So we've been quite lucky. I say we've been quite lucky. Chelyabinsk got hit last year by an asteroid. In 1908, there was a thing called the Tunguska event, which again was in northern Siberia, and that flatlined hundreds of square kilometers of trees. And we still don't know what caused that. We get hit all the time. Hundreds of tons of material hits the Earth every year. Thankfully, 75% of our planet is ocean. A lot of stuff tends to land, in remote regions, thankfully, but it only needs 1 day for that not to happen. And the interesting argument is that if Chelyabinsk hadn't have happened over Chelyabinsk in Russia, had it happened over Washington or New York or London, what would have been the reaction then?
Right. It would have been wiped out.
Well, wouldn't have been the same level of damage, but would the politicians,
there'd be a lot more talk about it, exactly.
Would they be saying, hey, we need to do something about this? And NASA, to be fair,
that was too close to home, is what they would say. That they'd be like, okay, well, that was too close to us. Now we got to start getting worried and concerned about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, Nick, we're running out of time. I've got 1 minute left. I want to thank you for coming on my show. Quickly, you want to plug yourself? People can find you.
At Nick Astronomer on Twitter. If you want to follow what I'm doing loads of stuff on comet research at the moment. Various things going on. We've got some nice astronomy trips. If any of your listeners are interested, we're going to Tanzania in Africa. Some of the darkest skies on the planet. So we're going on safari during the day, looking at lions and leopards and cheetah and all sorts, and then nighttime we're looking at the skies, and it's just amazing. So.
Are you going on that yourself?
What's that? Yeah, I'm leading that trip, so should be a good fun. We've got about 8 people coming so far, and got room for about 4 more. So if anyone's interested, just follow us on Twitter.
All right, Nick. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I'd love to have you back, buddy, for another hour at least sometime if you're interested in coming back. Now that we got the Skype thing figured out, we know how to get it all figured out. I'd love to have you back. A lot more to ask you. I didn't go through half my things, but thank you so much for coming on. And again, I would love to have you back, Nick.
Cheers. Thanks, Peter.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Good night. All right, everybody. That was Nick Howes, my guest. I also astronomer out in the UK. We had a great, interesting conversation. I had on my friend Justine Bodine earlier, talking about snow, winter plows, and I had on my friend Rob Bob Wynot. He's running for state rep, so vote for Bob Wynot. And I'm Peter Lovasco, your Wicked Weather host. See me next Saturday. I'll be live from Lizzie Borden. Bye-bye.